I am a man of honor, integrity, and promise. I pursue all righteousness. I love my family. I will not put my family in harm's way. There is nothing that will keep me from doing the right thing. I am an ambassador of hope and a man of discipline. I am a man worth following. I am a TYRO.
Welcome to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And for those of you that don't know who we are or know our story, Ron and I did 15 years in the prison system. Ron doing time on the inside, well, our children and I did time on the outside. But
what we were able to accomplish and overcome is a miracle. And out of our experience, we were able to develop a curriculum called TYRO. TYRO is a Latin word which means apprentice, novice, someone learning something new, a warrior.
And our passion is to help everyone coming behind us to make sure that, any obstacle or thing that we encountered and all of the things that we learned that we're imparting to you so that you can be successful.
So today we're doing the 5th segment of a 6-part series on coming home and what are those priorities.
And so if you remember, first we did the overview, then we talked about healthy relationships and how important those are. And then from there, we talked about
jobs.
And
what does it mean to get a job and keep it? Then we talked about
navigating successfully through probation or parole.
Ooh, that was a tough one too.
That's right. And now today we're going to talk about credit and credit worthiness. What does it really mean to be credit worthy?
To get credit and keep it is another whole nother beast in itself, because it's easy with so many things out there hitting you with buy. Whether you got the money or not, there's a lot of agencies or a lot of people out there that are going to try to get you to buy something even if you don't have the money.
And then the last part of this series, we'll be talking about community leadership and how important it is to develop those leadership things and be involved in your community.
And we're excited about today, too, because we have a special guest with us from a local bank in the area, Sherwood State Bank, and Ryan Frederick is going to join with us today, and we are thrilled to have him not only represent the bank, but to represent what all of us need, credit and how to get it.
And community, and talk about, what they really look for. What are they looking at when they're thinking about, well, should we give a loan to this person? Should we take a chance or a risk? And how some practical things that you can start doing even inside to start to rebuild your credit. We don't think about credit being that important, but I want to tell you, if you really want to be successful and you really want to create a new legacy, then you've got to think about your credit and rebuilding your reputation.
Well, another way of looking at the word credit is being a person or a man of your word. Because, if you're not a man of your word, if your word, inside right now, gentlemen, your word is doo-doo. But when you get out and you establish your word becomes gold, and literally you can take that to the bank.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And so stay tuned, because as we have Ryan join us, we're going to have Ryan on most of the show, and you're going to learn a lot today. So you do not want to miss this.
So stay tuned, and we will be right back.
Dear son, it's been hard these last few years, watching you grow up without me in the picture. Never taking the time to find out how you were or what was going on in your life. You're just a boy, I thought. You don't need me. I didn't need my dad. He was never around, I told myself. But I was wrong, son. I'm supposed to be a grown man. I was selfish. I was stupid. I was thinking of me, not you. If I could go back, son, and change things, I would. It's taken me all this time being selfish to finally grow up and realize I need to be a responsible man. That's what I finally learned, not from prison, but the TYRO program. It's all about becoming a better, stronger man. Wish I would have gotten it sooner. Everything looks different to me now. I'm a changed person. I know I need to be there for you now. It's not about me anymore. It's not about being cool. It's not about who I run with. It's about mom. It's about you. It's about being a better man, learning something new in my life. It's about being a TYRO, a man worth following. I'm your dad. You're my son, and I love you. I am a TYRO. I'm a TYRO. Dad.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And today we're talking about how important it is to establish or reestablish credit as one of your top priorities as you transition from in prison back home.
And we are so excited today to have Ryan Frederick of Sherwood State Bank located in Defiance, Ohio. And I tell you, having Ryan...
Not just Defiance, they have several locations.
Well, what locations are there?
We have Bridgeville Corners.
Bridgeville Corners.
Of course, Sherwood being our main branch, and soon to be Fayette.
Wow,
awesome.
That is exciting. And all those are in Northwest Ohio?
Yes.
Exciting, exciting. And so we've invited Ryan here to talk to us, really to give us the inside scoop of what it means to have not only good credit, but to be debt-free.
And specifically, Ryan, if you'll talk to him a little bit about what can the guys do inside as they're thinking about coming home and they're thinking about, wow, you know, either I don't have credit or I had really crappy credit before I came. Like, what are some things that they can do?
Well, I think the biggest things that somebody can do when you're on the inside is developing the mindset, because you make a certain amount of money in there. I mean, not a lot, but it's kind of like when you're a kid to an adult. You learn to save a little bit now, and then once you start developing more income, you can save that. And I think a lot of it is, we were talking earlier about the delayed gratification side of things, that do I really need something or is it just something I want?
Yeah.
And I think if you can determine that and you develop that mindset, that's going to set you up for success when you get out.
I think a lot of that reason is it something I want or something I need? A lot of times the reason why a lot of people would go to prison is because they wanted something and not necessarily wanted to work for something.
Right.
So they went and if they're in there for burglary or armed robbery or whatever that is, the theft charge, and in life, as a parent, I think I didn't pay my bills. I went out and bought alcohol instead. That understanding the priorities of why it's important to understand the mindset or have the right attitude about money.
So when we think about, when you said, okay, start changing the way that you think and start saving or delaying your gratification. So how important is, when we think about preparing to get credit, is character important in credit worthiness, or does that play any role?
Well, I think it plays a big role, because the character is going to be, when we look at a credit report, the only thing we're looking for in a credit report is to see how do people pay other people. Because if you pay other people and you're on time with everything you do, and there's some things that don't report to a credit. You have electric bills, you have gas bills, you have cable, you have cell phone. All those things, they don't report to a credit unless you don't pay them. So those are the things you don't want to see in a credit report.
Right.
Yep.
But character plays a big part, because if I'm a man of character and I'm a man of ethics, I'm going to make sure my bills get paid.
Yeah.
It might get tough, but I'm going to make sure they get paid because I owe them.
Yeah. And I tell you, in prison, being a man of your word, if you're not a man of your word in prison, it can cost you your life.
Sure.
Because that's a different environment, a different level of battles. Where even if you borrow a 16-cent soup, and I'm a witness to this, I've seen it happen, where somebody actually got beat up because they didn't pay back that 16-cent soup. And the theory or the thought behind that is it's about principle. And that's what the guy's telling himself. You know what? He owed it to me, and it's about principle. Because if word gets out that he took advantage of me, then everybody else will take advantage of me. And I think what you're saying here on the streets, how important is it to be a man of your word?
I mean, it's huge. And it's like that with anything, not only credit, but it plays into everything that you do. They always say that when you go out, you should expect to be believed, and there's only one way that can happen.
Good way to put that.
If my word is my word, people, I say it, people are going to believe it. If I have people doubting what I say, I think there might be an issue somewhere else. And I think that plays into credit, that plays into anything that we do.
So as they're getting prepared to come home and they're thinking about, gosh, you know what, I didn't pay that cable bill 5 years ago, and I know I had terrible credit. So how can they find out? I know that oftentimes we have people say, I really want to see what's on my credit, but I don't have the $10 or $20 or $30 to pay for a credit report. But that's not really true, is it, that they have to pay for a credit report all the time?
No, I think you see a lot of the things on TV now, the free credit report, this and that, but then there's always the disclaimer at the bottom that you've got to buy something else. They're giving that to you for free, but it costs you something else. What we always promote with us and getting a free credit report is the annualcreditreport.com, because you can go into that and there's no cost to it. You don't get a score, but you know what's on the report.
Okay.
And it's going to give you all the reports, and you can do it once a year for free.
So how does one go about while they're inside the institution? Is there somebody that they can contact?
And maybe you can tell me, I don't know if they have internet access or anything like that inside.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if they do or not.
Sometimes,
Yeah,
mostly
so
not.
really they have to contact
So they
their people.
probably, they would need to, it'd have to be somebody, it's usually through the internet that you do that, but and then you can pull that and see what the score looks like.
And
Or
start
the
thinking
report
about
looks like, excuse me.
Great. Well, stay tuned, because we're going to come right back with Ryan, and we're going to talk about, once you get that credit report, now what next? What do you need to do next in order to be credit worthy?
So stay tuned with us. We are so excited to have Ryan Frederick, and we will be right back.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You will begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you are not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Cathy TYRO's own personal experience with incarceration. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You will be prepared to overcome the obstacles of your incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You'll be one of the honored, a man worth following.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And today we have our special guest and dear friend, Ryan Frederick from Sherwood State Bank, talking to us about how to establish or reestablish credit. So thanks for joining us.
In this segment, we're going to talk about outside. Once you leave penitentiary and you're outside, what next?
Well, tell you what, if you're throwing that to me, I think the biggest thing that we have, on the inside, we talked about it's a mindset, it's an attitude. You got to start that when you're in the inside, because if you wait till you get on the outside, you're going to be in trouble. It's a little late at that point. But I think when you get on the outside now, it's still an attitude, it's still a mindset, but I think it's about how you go about it. I think, and do I need things now? Can I wait? And just knowing the channels to go through, I guess.
Well, I think the first thing a guy thinks about when he gets out is, I need transportation, man. I need wheels. How does one go about getting a car?
And what's like a worst case scenario of, I'm going to get a car and I'm going to find some place that's going to fund me? We see it a lot, and it's kind of one of these you're talking about coming on the to the outside, but went through it was called the Game of Life, and it was done in a high school. So it's kind of similar because it's the same mindset. And what are kids thinking? And it's the same when people are coming out. What are they thinking that I need? And at that point, they get to pick what car they want to get. But then it all comes down to the end. How much money do I have left? And am I living in a house or a box? So it's kind of one of those. And I think it's the same thing when you're coming out. What kind of car do I need? Everybody wants to drive the really nice car. And really nice car means high purchase price, right? So, and if you really say I can save my money and I can do those things, you can get a car pretty cheap, and it might not be a great car, but it's the car to get you from point A to point B until you have enough money to buy the nicer car.
Or have the established credit.
Exactly.
Where you can pay it back on time.
So speaking of establishing credit, so say somebody's coming home and they have no credit, or they have bad credit from when they were home in, let's say, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So what are some things that they can do to change their credit score or improve it?
Well, it's going to be a time issue because you need some of those negative things to get beyond. There might be cases, because I'm sure there's been a large period of time since they've had anything. It might be a case of a cosigner. I know I did a loan here recently for somebody who was incarcerated for a while. They were able to get a cosigner. They'd been been on their job for a year, and that's the only thing we asked of him. We'd like to see you working for a year, and then we'll try to do something. He was able to find somebody to co-sign. He's done a great job. Stayed on top of it, and I think it was the effort that went in. We saw that effort, and I could tell he had on his calendar 1 year from the day I talked to him.
Wow, that's great.
He called me on that day, and it was like, hey, he was like, you told me 1 year if I was on the job a year. And I've been there a year today.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And he did his part.
So you actually challenged him.
Yeah, and he did his work. Now, you throw some out there and you say that, and if they don't do what you've asked them to do, it kind of tells me what kind of result we would have gotten.
Right. The character now.
In that. And we're talking the character and the attitude and all those things play into that. And he's done a great job with it.
That is wonderful.
So, and that's kind of it. It might take that cosigner when you're coming out. Some of the things we put out there with anybody, if it is a credit card, there's a lot of the credit cards out there that have a $500 limit. They're very tiny, and that's all I would suggest. Because all we're going to look for is payments. We're not. I don't care if your limit's $20,000 or $500. All we want to see are monthly payments.
And see. So what would you suggest? We've heard some people say, well, why I'm going to the buy here, pay here, like for furniture. I'm going to rent furniture so I can build my credit. Rent to own. What do you think about that?
Well, in like 35 years, you can own the couch. I think that's what it boils down to. There's a lot of things, and we kind of talked about it before too, that you can go do that, but there's a lot of channels you can call, and whether it be a furniture bank, whether it be different places like that if you can call, and if the need is there, sometimes you can get a free couch, a free chair, free living room, stuff, free bedroom outfit, those sorts of things. It's based on need. Now, they might not be the prettiest, but they might get you to the point where you can develop the credit.
So we're talking about delayed gratification.
Right.
Exactly.
Right? And also, is the thinking wrong, thinking that, wow, if I go to buy here, pay here, and I rent to own this furniture, that's actually building my credit? Is that actually building their credit?
It's really not, because it's one of those things. It's rare we see if somebody goes to one of the rental places. I don't see it on a credit report. And if it doesn't show on the credit report, it's not building your credit score. It's not building your credit.
So it's like here at the Ridge Project, if you didn't document what you say you did,
it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Exactly.
Wow, powerful. I want to go back to a little bit that you said about the character and about when you're on the streets, it's about being on time. So he was a young man that you're talking about being at work for a year. That means he made it a year. He didn't get fired. He didn't get laid off. And you're watching all those things.
Right.
Because you had to call to verify with his employer, right?
Yeah, we would call to verify with the employer. He had come in and set up an account. Wow. So we were able to see how that was working. So he's building up a little bit of savings.
And credibility.
Things to that nature. So, and for us, that says a lot. If somebody's willing to take the chance with us and develop that relationship, and we're able to see it, it says a lot. And that's what I would suggest anybody coming out.
Okay.
We're almost out of time
here.
Like
so stay tuned, and we're going to bring Ryan right back and talk about how this is going to affect your legacy. We'll be right back.
Playing catch, basketball, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. These are all normal things on the outside, but many times are missed in a visitation setting. TYRO Dads brings the same fun experience to the inside through Family Days. As a TYRO Dad, you have the opportunity to participate in this fantastic event. Family Day is designed to allow fathers and families to engage with each other through activities designed to stimulate communication, learning, and play. Family Days will not only be a highlight for you, but for your children as well. The Ridge Project has strategically developed Family Day as an opportunity to help you connect with your child throughout your separation and help both of you develop skills to continue building your relationship when you return home.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Cathy TYRO.
And I'm Ron TYRO. And we are so excited to have with us a special guest, a dear friend of ours, Ryan Frederick from the Sherwood State Bank here in Northwest Ohio. And I tell you, we've been talking about what do you do when you're inside to get ready to acquire credit, become debt-free, and just be in the man of your word. And then also when you get out, how do you establish credit? How do you go about doing that where you're taking at your word? But now we're going to talk about what does that mean for your children? What does that mean for your legacy?
Why is it important to have credit when you think about building a strong family, Ryan?
I mean, I think you guys probably see it a lot, that what happens with the parents usually translates to what happens with the kids, right?
Yes.
So I think a lot of that is, and I know it being a father as well, that I can't expect my kids to do something I'm not doing.
Yeah.
So with the folks coming out, you know, and one of the things I would suggest when they come out, and when we talked about when they were in, was starting to try to save a little bit, not spending everything that you make, being aware that you can put off some things that I really don't need. When you get out, those things will translate. And I think, and for any of those guys who have kids, or girls for that matter that have kids, that will translate to them someday. If they see their parents saving and really being at their word that if I have something due, I pay it, that will translate.
Yeah. You know, one thing that we practice in our home is dream building. And so I'll take an object or something that we would like and say it's an automobile. And we'll take it and we'll put it on our refrigerator and we won't go out. And we can go out and get the loan and get all that, but we won't do that until it's the right moment and the right time for all of us, that we're all at peace.
But if it's in our budget.
That all the things have been, all the dots have been, I's have been dotted, T's have been crossed, because we just don't go out and do it anymore.
Right.
You know?
Right. In 2006, I think, I saw a car that I really, really liked. And so I drove it. I was like, wow, this is amazing. It was like an SUV. And then I went back to the lot and I said, well, how much is this? And they're like, well, it's $46,000. And so I said, great. Well, how much is that one? And I always kind of wanted it. And so then just this last year, I bought a 2008 and we paid $9,000 for it.
For the same type of vehicle?
For the same vehicle. And I will tell you what, I mean, like the joy in driving that and knowing that it's paid for, I could afford it, it's not stressing me out. I remember a day when we first got married and we just bought a car because we liked it and we couldn't afford it.
Yeah, we were buying things way above our means.
So talk a little bit about how long does it take to reestablish credit? So if you've had a crappy credit score and you have a bad legacy started, how long is that going to take? I
mean, I know on a personal level with the bank, what we like to see is a couple years of good credit history. Now, if somebody comes out and they're working and they're on the job and they're really trying to do, there might be some ways we can try to work some things out. But I think overall we like to see a couple years because it kind of gives us a track record of, you know, that they've established themselves, that, and it kind of takes a little bit of that risk away that we have.
And that's good because, I mean, even for me, when I got home, that 2-year mark is key because I actually was on parole for 2 years. And it was actually good accountability. So what you're saying is, look, gentlemen, we're talking about accountability. We want to see what you can do with 2 years. And then when you come to visit us, then here's your reward.
Yeah. You know? And I think some things that people don't think about are all the little things. Say they're going out and they're renting. Make sure your rent payment's on time every month. Because one thing, you know, a few things that we're going to look into, because there might not be a lot of credit established yet, is we'll have them get us 12 months of history from their cable or their electric or you know those.
So those things will work to get to a loan?
It depends on what kind of loan that you're doing. If we're doing something, just an installment loan, for an example, we can use some of those things because you know, again, we're looking at a credit report because all we want to do is see how they pay people. Those will tell us the same thing. Are there late payments? Are they on time every month? Is the rent on time?
Or are they paying even extra on top of what they actually owe? That's an advantage, right?
Exactly. So all those things play in, and I think people don't think about credit cards, and that's, you know, that's not as important as a loan with the bank. Well, it is.
Right.
All those things play in.
So is there a certain amount of time? So suppose that they say, okay, well, I've got this credit card. So you said you like to see a couple of years. If they have a credit card and they're paying it off every month, is that good?
It depends if they have a balance every month as well. Because if they get the credit card and they pay it off and it shows one payment, the rest of them will show there's no payments on there. So we usually tell people, I don't know if it's the best advice or not, but pay it down to a very minimal balance, but at least leave some balance where you're going to have a minimum payment on that balance, because we want to see those. And some things where people want to come in and reestablish credit, so they'll get a small loan to do it. It's like, okay, you can go and they could pay it off early, but it's like, okay, you can pay it off early, or you can let it all the way out, because we want to see the payment.
See the payments
and that's
on
how you
time.
establish.
So it's really about being a person of your word, because you said the contract says you're going to pay every month for this period of time, and when you see that happen consistently,
right,
that tells you who they are.
Exactly, and it saves us the time of having to call them every month to say, hey, is your payment coming?
Wow.
We don't have time to do that. Right. I think people sometimes think we like to do that.
But probably not.
But that's
really.
something, if we could eliminate that part of our day,
Right.
that would be perfect.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing with our guys.
Ryan, it's good to see you, and you're always welcome here on TYRO
Thanks for having
TV.
me. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So stay tuned, because we'll be right back with more TYRO TV.
Completion of TYRO Dads is just the beginning of the opportunities available to you. As a TYRO Dad, you will be eligible to participate in workforce strengthening services to help prepare you for employment and open the doors to economic stability for you and your family. The Workforce Strengthening Program starts with job ethics training. Once completed, you may be eligible to receive training to acquire your commercial driver's license while still inside prison. If getting a CDL is not for you, then there is also a welding training program you may be eligible for. As more programs are being added, there really is something for almost everyone.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tiarina.
And I'm Cathy Tiarina. And today we're in our fifth part of our six-part series, and we're talking about credit worthiness and how important that is to keep that as a priority.
And we had with us today Ryan Frederick, and he was able to tell us really what it means to be a man of your word, be a person or a man worth following, what it means to be a TYRO when it comes to credit.
And how important it is to begin thinking right now and begin changing your mindset right now where you are, and think about saving. Think about the difference between what you want and what you need. And as you transition home, really getting involved. What I heard him say was find a bank, build a relationship with that bank, start a savings account, start setting goals. And when you get your job, make sure you're maintaining that job over time and paying your bills on time if you really want to establish good credit.
What I love hearing Ryan say, Cathy, was that your children will copy or mimic what you do, Dad. So if you're not doing the things that it takes to get good credit, guess what? Your children aren't going to do it either, because they're going to see that that if you're able to discipline yourself and wait for the things that you're looking for, earn it, save the money, guess what? Your kids are going to do the same thing. They're going to wait.
Speaking of kids doing the same thing, so the other day I got out a jug of milk. I mean, just like proof that that's what happens. I got out the milk and I poured a cup of milk, and I realized it was the wrong kind of milk. I didn't want it. So Bria walks in, so I pour the milk back in the gallon, right? I put it back in the fridge, and so she gets out her cup and she drinks about half of her cup, and she gets out the gallon. She's going to pour it back in. I said, "Whoa, what are you doing?"
I saw you do it.
Yeah, and she says, and I said, "No, that's not what I did." And so I
Right.
explained to her, my mouth never touched that milk, and I put it back in there because it was the wrong milk. And so even when we're doing small things that we're not thinking that they're paying attention to, they are paying attention to everything that you do. And so that's why it's vitally important that they see that you are a person of character, and that as you are transforming your reputation and becoming a leader by being a person of your word, establishing a relationship with your bank and your community, you can help guarantee that your children will have a good start towards a successful future.
But this isn't going to be easy, dads. When you have to begin while you're in there, becoming a person worth following, a man of your word. Because you know, as we said earlier in the show, that we've seen people get hurt over 16 cents. Well, out here, it's a matter of life and death too, but for your wife, the mother of your children, and your children. Because if you're not a man of your word, they'll take away your car, they'll take away your home, and then you'll be on the streets. But establish now, have the mindset and the attitude that no matter what, you're always going to pay your debt.
So we want to thank you for joining us today as we are winding up our series next week. Don't forget, at our next show, I guess, don't forget to join us again as we finish up the series with learning to be a community leader. You are not going to want to miss that.
So thank you for joining us. And till next time, always remember, we are rooting for you.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of integrity.
I am a man of faith. I am the antidote.
I am a man of discipline. I am a leader.
I am strong.
I am a man worth following.
I am a TYRO.